Well, good morning guys, hope you're all doing well. So we've come back to the Lake District now that the schools have returned. In fact, they've gone back today. So now that the schools have gone back, I think it'll be a bit quieter in the lake, so we can kind of get back to exploring the lakes a little more now, especially as we head into autumn and then into winter. But this is a location that I've seen often because it's well photographed, but I've never been here, so I wanted to come and experience it myself. And that's Kelly Hall Tarn. As you can see, it's beautiful today. I mean, it's going to be really hot. That's the one downside of today. And there's not a great deal of cloud cover at the minute, but I think that's to change later in the day. We're supposed to get more cloud cover as the day goes on. I didn't quite make it, obviously, for sunrise this morning. It was about 8:30, 8:45 by the time I got into this area this morning. So I want to hang around for sunset tonight. I might go and check out some other locations in the area though and see what else we can find. Coniston Water's not far from here, but this is so beautiful in here and I think it'll make a really nice shot. I'm going to walk around because there's some lovely lilies in the water there that'll make a really sort of simple shot, maybe a square crop, something like that. But obviously we've got the mountains behind here for later on. We've got all these beautiful reeds through here, the lilies, and then obviously this beautiful pine tree off to the left, which is kind of iconic with this particular location. There's also a tree up behind me here, which I'm thinking I might be able to incorporate into another shot. But yeah, definitely worth exploring the area. But as I say, I think to hang around here all day, there's not a great deal here to warrant staying here the whole day. So I think it's going to be a case of exploring the wider area and then coming back here for sunset later on. So while we're here, actually, I thought I'd have a look around this area and scout it for later on. So I've actually come higher up, got a higher vantage point and looking down on the tarn itself. I haven't seen so many shots from this point of view, so I'm just kind of looking for something that makes it slightly different or to come up with a shot that's going to be slightly different. So although I really like the fact that you get way more reflections of that tree, especially that pine tree off down to the left there in the water, the lower you get. I like the vantage point from up here because it shows this whole lake, apart from the vantage point of this idiot down here. But yeah, I like the whole top-down look from up here. So you get this bend where the tarn sits down here, it's bowing down there, and then you've got the mountains off in the distance up there. So you almost got like a huge kind of circular focal point to the image. And I think if we get some cloud cover later on up above here, and we get some colour later on, I think it's going to be a really nice image from up here. So it's probably one of those shots that I'm going to bookmark for later. I'll get the one down below, but I also want to try and run up here and grab this shot as well. So guys, again, because we've had to wait around here for so long today, I'm just looking for other things, other points of interest. And obviously, as I pointed out earlier on, we have some of these plants growing in the pond here, lilies. I've managed to find a shot of that. I haven't walked you through it because it was very much a grab shot as I was walking around looking for things. But you'll see it. It's a square crop, fairly simple, straightforward image with some lily leaves in it, which I've actually made sure that I've got on the cross sections of a square crop. I think it works really, really well. The other thing I've been trying while I'm here as well, because this area has so many dragonflies, it's kind of out of my comfort zone to kind of shoot wildlife as well. So I've kind of been focusing on that, and it's really quite hard. You have to really sit still and wait for them to come round you because they're really quite skittish and fly off as soon as they see you. But I think I've managed to grab a couple of shots that I really quite like, and I'll pop those up for you next. But it's just really about looking outside of the box. When you've got this amount of time to kind of spend in an area, I mean, we've been here all day, you've got to kind of look for this shot, and especially when you've got such a blue sky day like it has been today. I mean, it's been up to about 25 degrees today, and obviously blue skies all day, which isn't the easiest for photography. So that's why I've been looking for these little smaller details in the landscape, and as well as that, the wildlife as well. But I'm hopeful for tonight that we're going to actually get some really nice light. Sunset's still in about another 3 hours or so yet, but there's clouds coming in now and they're starting to streak across the sky. As you can maybe see behind me here, there's some nice patterns in the sky. So I'm hopeful that we're going to get some colour, especially those mountains behind you. If they can catch later on, this should be a really beautiful scene, because the lake seems to be, fingers crossed at the minute, it seems to be remaining quite calm. So we should get some nice reflections in that as well. So I just thought I'd come and show you this shot I was just talking about with these lilies. And it's actually just down in here. Now, I'm going to be able to frame it up. I'm just going to hand hold it. I'll just press record on the back of the camera so you can see what I'm looking at. There we go. Let me just... hang on a minute. There we go. Alright. So what you should see is, looking down, what I did is line that lily up. You can see it's a square crop, and I just lined it up on the intersection of the lower third there off to the left, one of the lily leaves. Now I'm going to put my focus point in the same area, and you can see there I'm at f5.6 because obviously around it you've just got the water. I'm at ISO 200. I'm just going to raise that slightly actually. I'm at 2 stops under at the minute with this shot. ISO 200 and 200th of a second. And I'm just going to grab this shot. Now hand holding, I've got image stabilisation on the lens and in body. And I'm just waiting for, we've got little bits of breeze coming through here. I'm just waiting for that to die down and calm down on the water surface as much as possible, because I don't want any movement if possible. And also, it's going to give the surface of the water a bit more of a sheen to it when I want it as dark as possible, really. My intention is I don't really want to see the bottom of the lake itself, because it's quite distracting, it's quite muddy looking. So really I didn't want to polarize it, because I don't want to cut through to the bottom of that any more than I need to. But yeah, just putting that in that lower third there and grabbing the shot. It's simple enough, nothing really to it, but I think it works really well as a square shot. It would have been nice if that lower leaf, the one that you can see nearest the bottom of the frame, was in a bit better condition, but you've just got to work with what you have really. And I think it adds a little bit of character anyway. So as I pointed out earlier on now, the light's sort of dipping down and we're getting quite nice warm light. But what I wanted to show you is up from this vantage point, you can see a couple of things. Now I've still got the 23mm on because I'm having to get that wide for the lower composition down below. However, up here, if I just press record now, you should see it, that I've got a 4:3 aspect ratio because I want to get as much in as possible. You've got the cloud in above there, you've got the mountains off in the middle of the frame, and then you've got that lower arc of the Tarn down in the lower section here. Now obviously this is still with a 23mm, but I think actually from up here I'm going to take a couple of shots. I'll grab this one first and I'll pop both up on screen. But I think the wider shot, the 23mm from up here, you might be getting too much in. It's a massive scene from up here with 23mm, and I think I need to compress that a little by using the 35-70 and maybe going into about 35 rather than the 23. Just to eliminate a little bit more of this foreground. I like the arc, as I said before, the bowl shape down here, but there's maybe a bit too much grass in the frame for my liking. But it does, the one thing it really does do with that is really accentuate the sky. So you've got a lot of sky going on there. And I think when the colour comes later on, that should look pretty nice if it does, but I'm kind of hopeful anyway. Now, there's a couple of things that's kind of, I don't know what to do for the best, because when the light does hit, we haven't got an awful lot of time. The tree down there reflects really nicely in the lake down the bottom there, and that's one of the things I really like about the shot. However, when you're down there, what happens is those other trees, those other silver birch over there, blend in and block out the mountains behind, so you don't get the whole sense of the whole area from down there. It's a nice shot, but it does block out a lot of those mountains in the distance. So I'm weighing up whether I want this shot up here, which means that you get above those trees and then you get more of the mountains in the distance, or you get down below there and get the reflection of the tree. It's one of those toss-ups to know which one to get, and it's going to be kind of quite a run around to try and get both in the same amount of time with the colour going off so fast. But what I'm going to do now is, now that I've grabbed this shot, I'm going to put the 35-70 on, and then you'll see the difference and how much more of this foreground it eliminates in the frame. Right, so on the back now, you should see that I've swapped over to the 35-70, and I'm actually at 35 now. And you should see the difference that's made. It's brought those mountains closer, and it's also eliminated a bit of the foreground, which was, I think there was a little bit too much grass for me down there. Now, I'm just going to grab this shot. I'm at similar settings, to be honest. It's ISO 100. I'm currently a stop under now, at 50th of a second. And I'm just going to grab this image. You are getting that nice warm light now on the landscape, which is really nice. But as you can see, I think that's a better image rather than the whole scene. I'll pop both up so you can tell me which one you prefer, but to my eye at least, although I like the wide image, I think there's definitely too much of this foreground element down here. But let me know what you think in the comments. Now from this lower vantage point down here, you'll see I've got it set up as a 4x3. I've got the 23mm lens on because obviously I'm quite close up and I want to get this reflection of the tree down here in frame, because that's the element that I really like down here. But as you can see off in the distance out there, that little section in the middle there where the mountains are behind and that group of birch trees are in the middle, they block out the hills behind, and that's the element I'm not really keen on, because to my eye at least, it makes it look a bit overcomplicated and a bit messy. So I think I prefer the shot from above, if I'm honest with you. And not only do I like the shot from above in the 4x3, but it works quite well as a 16:9. It also works relatively well as a pano. The only problem with the pano from up there is really that this tree especially, it's really close to the top and bottom of the frame, so it might feel a little constrained. But definitely the 16:9 or 4x3 works really well from down here. Now the other thing I really need to take into account is, because of where I am and where the sun is, which is right behind you over there, it's introducing a little bit of lens flare. So I'm going to have to, when I take a shot, I'm going to have to kind of shield just a little, just to get rid of any of those little circles, because those circles are actually appearing right on that pine tree. Just grab that shot again. Now, I'm hoping, as you can see, the clouds are moving in over the hills as well, so those are hopefully going to light up. But the problem we have is you can maybe see in the shot is those contrails from the planes, and those may be a case of cloning those out later, because to my eye, again, they're quite distracting, and I'd rather just see the shape of the clouds. But what I'm thinking at the minute is trying to grab both shots when the light goes off. It might be a bit much to try and get both in one go, but I'm going to try and grab the shot from down here and then run up the top and grab that shot as well, because I do like elements from both. And that's very much the wrestle that you have when you're photographing scenes like this, is knowing which you prefer. And if you've got elements from one composition that you like, as opposed to elements from another that you don't like, and vice versa, it's hard to know which ones you want to really shoot more. So I'm going to try my best to try and get both, although I am leaning to that composition further up the top there more than this one. Guys, as you can see, the light is completely gone now. We had a little bit of colour there for a little while, but it wasn't the best. It's just one of those things, though. It's sometimes the way it goes. I've taken a shot from down below here, like I said I was going to, and also one above. Tell me which one you prefer. I mean, I was talking a little bit before about the fact that the landscape gets colour on it about an hour before the sun starts to dip below the hills, and then you just get colour in the sky. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer the image with light on the landscape, or do you prefer the image with colour in the sky? Because you've kind of got a bit of both in this location because of the way the sun sets, it dips down behind the hills and then you completely lose it. So yeah, be interested to hear how you prefer your images, light in the sky or light on the foreground, or do you prefer the blend? Well guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this week's video. Like and subscribe if you have, and I'll see you on next week's video. Take care. Bye-bye.